real power. Actually, he's more powerful than before.
So it's not stepping down. He's stepping up.
He's the shadow leader now.
Stepping aside and then forward, right?
I don't think that Hun Sen can survive without Hun Sen. In my opinion, I think he just a spoiled son of prime minister. Grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Hey everyone, it's time once again for another episode of RFA Insider.
That was Eugene, I'm Amy, and today on RFA Insider, we go offbeat with the Khmer service.
Ooh, new segment alert. Yes, of course, How It's Made has been changed to Offbeat, and today we're discussing Cambodian strongman Hun Sen passing power off to his son Hun Manet.
And then on the rundown, we have two stories, one from Tibet and one from Laos, both discussing animals in some way.
Sounds wild, but we'll be back with that and more. RFA Insider starts right now.
靚生乜女話你？咪嚟提，tập trung vào chủ đề。班夫你做乜？ Offbeat.
All right, so welcome to Offbeat. So today we have two very special guests with us, Poli Sam, who's the Khmer Service Director, and Vuthy Huot, who's the Khmer Service Deputy Director. And I also want to mention that these are our podcast seniors. So welcome to the studio, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us. I just wanted to say, and for our benefit of our listeners who can see us on camera, that we are indeed wearing T-shirts for their podcast. Amy is modeling it right now, but her hair's in the way, so I will also turn around. You can see they look like frogs. What was the idea behind that? That was really interesting. I saw the logo. This is so creative. It's so wonderful. But who came up with that concept?
Poli.
Poli came up with it. Okay.
I don't really like it much, but
It's
the boss.
the best
He's the
logo
boss. Yeah.
in RFA by far.
Yeah. So today we're talking about Hun Sen, who has been in power in Cambodia since 1985, apparently.
Yes.
So
I mentioned that we were discussing this topic with a Cambodian coworker who said, you could write a book with this topic. And I said, well, we're going to talk about it in 20 minutes. So,
right.
We'll try.
We'll try. And so in August 2023, Hun Sen stepped down from his post as prime minister after ruling the Cambodia for 38 years. But let's just kind of start from the beginning. So who is Hun Sen and how did he come into power?
Okay, first of all, thank you very much, Amy, and thank you very much, Eugene. I feel very special to come to your show.
No, the honor is ours.
I feel the same.
Yeah,
thank you so much,
and I
guys.
must apologize, even though you introduced us as the podcast senior, we have done it in Khmer. This is the first time we do it in English.
Oh,
so I have to apologize.
No.
No, but we can tell you definitely have a presence and a chemistry that we are still working on.
Developing, yes.
So we can tell that you're seasoned seniors.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is Hun Sen? Hun Sen is a former Khmer soldier, of course. And as you know, during the Khmer era, they did not only kill or starve the average citizen to death, they also kill their own comrade. So Hun Sen was a former Khmer soldier who was who fled to Vietnam due to this internal conflict.
Oh, so there's like internal purges during...
Yeah, internal purges.
So when you said the Khmer Rouge era, what years are you talking about specifically?
From April 1975 to January 1979.
Okay. So he fled to Vietnam, and then what happened after that?
In Vietnam, I think Vietnam always find an excuse to attack Cambodia. So now Hun Sen is in Vietnam. Hun Sen begged Vietnam to help him and his comrade. He did not flee. He did not flee to Vietnam alone with a group of his friends. So this group of friends begged Vietnam to come and help. That's what we hear from his version. But Vietnam now find an excuse to come and invade Cambodia.
So through Hun Sen.
Yeah, through Hun Sen.
Okay.
Hey guys, Eugene here. For a little bit of context, war between Cambodia and Vietnam started shortly after the fall of Saigon, with the Khmer Rouge attacking Vietnam along the border and Vietnam launching limited objective invasions into Cambodia in 1977 and 1978 to try to put an end to the attacks. But the Khmer Rouge kept attacking, so at the end of 1978, Vietnam had had enough and invaded with the intention of ending their rule. Hanoi was victorious in January 1979 and installed a pro-Vietnamese government. The war ended the Khmer Rouge genocide, which killed an estimated 1.5 to 2 million people, or about a fourth of the country's population. Okay, and so after he came back in 1979?
Yes, 79. Yeah, January 1979.
Okay, and then he was he elected as prime minister, or how did he get into power from there?
Not immediately as a prime minister. He was installed as a foreign minister.
Foreign minister.
Foreign minister. Until 1985 that he became the prime minister.
Okay.
6 years later.
So how old was he when he became the prime minister? Maybe around 27, 28?
Late 20s.
Late 20s.
That's awfully early for someone to start running the country. I understand also that in Cambodia there was a time where there was something called the United Nations Transitional Authority on Cambodia.
Yeah.
So that was when they were trying to make democratic elections in the country, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that during that time, was there 2 prime ministers, or am I getting ahead of myself?
No, during that time, there was an interim government. UNTAC was the transitional authority for Cambodia. So there was no prime minister. Only after the United Nations sponsored election that Hun Sen party, the CPP, the Cambodian People's Party, lost the election. The Royalist Party, Hun Sen, won the election. That Hun Sen refused to accept the result of the election. As a compromise, the King Norodom Sihanouk then and the head of the Hun Sen party was Prince Norodom Ranariddh, who was the son of King.
So the prince was in charge of Hun Sen Pak.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the king, in order to compromise,
To make peace.
Yeah, to make peace, let his son, who won the election, be the first prime minister, and Hun Sen, who lost the election, became the second prime minister. That was after the United Nations sponsored election.
Why did they compromise with Hun Sen instead of saying, like, listen, you lost?
Because, everyone want Cambodia to have peace. International community spent a lot of money in order to organize the election. And then after the election, because Hun Sen lost the election, he want to separate the country into two, divide the country into two.
So...
Because he did not accept the result of the election. And then the new war began.
So Hun Sen had, I guess, some control over the military then, is what you're saying. So he says, I'm going to take half of the country away. And,
if you don't let me rule, if you, I will divide the country, I will control one part, the eastern part, and you rule the western part. So the King Norodom Sihanouk, of course, tried to tell his son, okay, accept that. Be the first prime minister. Let him be the second prime minister.
Okay, so I just also wanted to mention, since we brought up Funcinpec, that's FUNCINPEC. It's an abbreviation for a much longer party name, which I neglected to write here. So if you could help us with it, that would be great. But if not, then I can totally...
It's a French acronym.
Okay.
Okay.
It just means the
Royalist Party.
Yeah, the Royalist Party.
Okay. And then something happened in 1997 when, I guess... Funcinpec began discussions with the remnants of the Khmer Rouge, so Hun Sen launched a coup. Is that correct?
Yeah, even though, let me go back to the history a little bit. Even though the United Nations planned to bring all the Cambodian varying faction, meaning the Funcinpec, the CPP, and the Khmer Rouge, come together and participate in the election. Khmer Rouge boycott the election. They boycott the election. So even if there was new government after the 1993 election, the Khmer rule was still active at the border, Cambodian-Thai border. So it is the role of the new government try to either eliminate or disintegrate the Khmer rule. That is why Prinorodam Ranariddh tried to negotiate with the Khmer rule in order for them to either disintegrate their organization or to reintegrate into the new government.
Okay.
Why did they refuse to participate in the election?
I think they know that they are going to lose the election.
I see.
Yeah.
So this was an election of sore losers, it seems.
Out of all of this, eventually Hun Sen was able to eliminate his rivals and eventually take over the country. So how did that happen exactly?
Okay, so Hun Sen, I think even though he claimed himself to be a great strategist of all Cambodian politicians, to me, Hun Sen just fight for survival.
I see.
Always fight for survival. When the after the Perestroika, when the Berlin Wall collapsed, when the Soviet Union collapsed, the Soviet Union no longer support the Vietnamese troop to Cambodia, will be no longer support the Cambodian economy. During that time, Cambodia rely heavily on the support from Soviet Union.
Right.
So he has to find way in order to survive. That is why he agreed for the peace settlement in Paris, the Paris Peace Agreement.
Okay.
But a big mistake, because one, you have the free and fair election. He lost. So he learned from that mistake, from that free and fair election in 1993, sponsored by UNTAC. That is why probably he made a vow to himself that I will no longer allow free and fair election. That is why he tried to eliminate any opponent at all.
I see. So I joined RFA in 2018, and around that time we were talking extensively about the Cambodia National Rescue Party, or the CNRP, which Hun Sen was able to control the Supreme Court to make it illegal for an opposing political party. So can you talk a little bit about how that came to be and why they can legally ban another political party from existing?
Okay, so as I told you, because he learned from his first mistake, he will never allow any opponent to or any party that has a potential to win the election. But he made the second mistake, though, before I talk about the Deceit integration of CNRP. He made the second mistake.
Okay.
Probably under international pressure during the election in 2013.
2013.
Yeah, okay. 2013. He did allow Sam Rainsy, the head of the then Sam Rainsy party, to come back to Cambodia to participate in the election. And he thought he controlled the country and everything. He thought he would manipulate the election. But in the end, the CNRP, when Sam Rainsy returned to Cambodia, he joined hands with Kam Sokha, another head of the opposition party. They formed CNRP, Cambodian National Rescue Party. Then CNRP almost took the election.
Right.
Yeah. That was his second mistake. And he never allowed the third mistake. That is why he demolished CNRP.
Right.
How he do that? Because Sam Rainsy, the Cambodian court, the Cambodian court sentenced him many times.
Right.
12 years in jail and 10 years in jail for doing this and
another 20
and all this
years
time
for doing
when
they're
that.
Sentencing him, he's actually in France because he's in exile, right?
Yeah, he is in exile. But he was still the president of CNRP.
Right.
And he created a new law. banning criminal to be head of the party, or anyone who use the associate with the criminal, the party need to be resolved.
I see.
So that is the base for the resolve of the NRP.
I see. So it seems like Hun Sen has an acumen to, whenever he has any political rival, he can just make new laws or manipulate the government in order to...
Today from Korea.
Oh, yes.
Today from South Korea, when he received the reward for building peace in Cambodia.
Hey guys, Eugene here. The award Vuthy is referring to is the Sunak Peace Prize, which does not come from the South Korean government, but an organization called the Universal Peace Foundation. This was founded by the Unification Church, known colloquially as the Moonies.
When he received the reward for building peace in Cambodia, he announced that he will make a new law turning all the political activists or anybody who oppose him to be terrorists.
Wonderful.
From that stage, when he received the Peace Award.
So that would officially define Sam Rainsy and Kam Sokha as terrorists then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
well that's wonderful. So you can just label your political rivals as
And you can resolve the
terrorists.
party because of that,
Yeah.
based on that law. So he did this legally,
Okay,
his law.
right.
And right now, any political party inside Cambodia that associate with Sam Rainsy, that political party will be disbanded as well.
Yeah.
Because they're
Okay.
associating with criminals.
With criminal.
With criminal.
I see. And so we've also heard a lot about the Candlelight Party recently. So that's kind of an offshoot or kind of a predecessor to CNRP. It's kind of
Yes.
hard to explain exactly the relationship, but I guess they're trying to dismantle that as well.
Yeah, Sam Rainsy was the founder of this Candlelight Party before they
Before the CNRP.
formed the
For the
CNRP.
right.
Okay. So Hun Sen is now in power, and I guess he was preparing to hand the power to his son, Hun Manet, and step down this year, but
He already handed over
Last year.
the power to his son.
yes, but he's also in a different position in which holds the real power.
He the president of the Senate.
Okay.
Yes, he hold real power. Actually, he's more powerful than before.
So it's not stepping down, he's stepping up.
He's the shadow leader now.
Stepping aside and then forward, right?
Yes.
I see. Okay, great.
All right. So
He even warned his son. He said that if you don't rule properly, I will take over the power and I will become prime minister again.
Oh, wow.
all right. So I guess looking back at 38 years, how would you describe Hun Sen's leadership, both domestically and internationally? And what do you think helped him achieve political longevity? You mentioned he was working on like a survival basis.
Internationally, the way he presented himself, he's like very seasoned politician. He speak in a manner of cool, calm, and collected. You know what I mean? So it's different. Even his language, his voice, is level. It's appear gentle. This is how he portray himself at the international community.
I mean,
Do you
often,
disagree,
often we write stories about how he's threatening people and saying,
Yes.
like you, how dare you oppose me politically? You're going down. I'm gonna, find you and your family and put them in jail and stuff. Like he says that on like social media or his own social media all the time. So.
This is what he say to his people. This is what's different between internationally and nationally.
Oh, I see. So you're saying to the international community, he has one face, and then to his own people, he has another face.
He
Okay.
have many faces, but for Cambodian, he have the faces that make threaten a lot. You know what I mean? And when he makes threat, he would go after them. There's no doubt about it. As of late, he threatened to arrest anybody oppose him on the border issue, and he actually go arrest them.
So more about that border issue. I guess there's a dispute between the boundary between Vietnam and Cambodia. Is that the case?
Yeah.
Yes.
And because Hun Sen was installed by Vietnam, he's more inclined to allow the Vietnamese, to have what they want, or is that not the case?
pretty much the case. I mean, if you ask any Cambodian, they would agree with their assessment.
Okay.
Because the Vietnamese installed Hun Sen, his government 30-something odd years ago, and he became the prime minister.
Yeah.
Right? So right now, he's still a very powerful individual inside Cambodia. He controls the Senate, the Congress, what is that?
The National Assembly, or
the National Assembly. He controls his political party, CPP.
And he controlled the royal palace.
And he controls the
that's true. Right. Every law that gets made in Cambodia, the king has to sign off of it, and then that's the way it works, right?
Yeah.
So, to the a specific question posed by Amy, how Hun Sen managed to survive for all these 38 years. You know, everybody know Hun Sen is a dictator. And dictator doesn't rule alone. Dictator need to have supporter. And he used Cambodian age-old tradition, the client, patron-client relationship that exists in Cambodia for his purpose. Of course, he give job, he give position to his friends, to his family member, and let them do whatever they want. Meaning, they can cut down tree, whatever they want. They can do whatever they want at all. They can make themselves very rich. They need support from Hun Sen. Even though tycoon in Cambodia, at one time, one of the tycoon in Cambodia, Khmer, appoint somebody to be in a position in the company that Hun Sen doesn't like. He won't Khmer.
Right.
If you continue to do that, don't think that your business will survive without my support.
Yeah.
So Khmer has to fire that guy.
Oh man.
Yeah. So he has support from all these tycoon. Tycoon need his support in order to enrich themselves.
And also those tycoon, many of them are member of his family also. There's an intermarriage, right? You know, you don't do anything to your relative. You protect your relative. You know, you protect the people who put you in position of power.
Sounds very much like Game of Thrones with different influential families all marrying each other.
Where our listeners can't see this, but Poli has like a very intricate diagram drawn of all of the powerful people.
Well, let's move on.
Hun Sen, just let me add, Hun Sen also have support from one of the biggest power in Asia, China.
Oh, right. Of course, that's very important.
Yeah, China. China can do whatever they want in Cambodia.
That's often a reoccurring theme that we hear in our coverage from Cambodia, yes. But I wanted to draw a comparison, first of all, to another country that RFA talks about constantly that has this sort of dynastic rule where power is being passed from father to son. So in North Korea, we have the power passing from Kim Il-sung to Kim Jong-il and then from Kim Jong-il to Kim Jong-un. It's obvious that the situation in Cambodia and North Korea is very different. But do you think it would be possible for Hun Manet to eventually pass off power to his own heir? Or do you think that once that Hun Sen is gone, that maybe Hun Manet will struggle to keep power?
Vuthy and I probably have a different opinion on this.
Let's hear your opinion.
That's great. Let's hear it.
I don't think that Hun Manet can survive without Hun Sen. The reason is that he have basically no credibility in terms of helping Cambodia. In my opinion, I think he just a spoiled son of prime minister. He grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. Everything is being, handed to him, including the prime ministership. And I don't think he have done anything in particular to help Cambodia. Hun Sen, he could at least claim that one point is that Cambodia was in a very difficult period, and he was able. He could claim that because of me, Cambodia in existence right now, so and so. But Hun Manet, I don't think he have any credibility to give position to his her offspring.
Okay, and the counterpoint.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to give the bad news to the listener.
Okay.
I don't have a different opinion. I agree with Polly totally. And I have my own reason as well why Hun Manet cannot pass on the prime ministership to his son. Look back Hun Sen. Hun Sen previously said that he will rule until he's 90. And the reason why he rushed to hand over the prime ministership to his son, because he know that if he die before he could hand over the prime ministership to his son won't be able to take that position because there is a big internal conflict between the CPP. You know, within the CPP, any authoritarian regime at all, you know that there is always the internal conflict.
Right.
So there is a big internal conflict. Look at the composition of the new government. Hun Sen hand over prime ministership to his son because Hun Sen hold this prime ministership. So Keng, the minister of interior, hand over the position of Minister of Interior to his son. And each and every ministry in Cambodia, they do that. This shows that there is a big conflict. There is a lot of discussion. You cannot let your son to be prime minister. Oh, let my son be the prime minister. I let your son to be the minister of this, minister of that.
Yeah.
Little quid pro quo going on.
So if Hun Sen no longer exists in Cambodia, I don't think Hun Manet will survive.
Yeah.
Even though Hun Sen thought of all the strategy, he has all the his people in key position, but I don't think that will ensure the stability of Hun Manet.
And I think one of the reasons that it cannot ensure the stability, the people that he appointed don't even have the credibility, and also they don't have the expertise to run a certain agency or a certain institution. You know, that's a problem. And right now, I think the reason why things stay calm as the way it is, at least at a superficial level, because everybody buying times, hold out waiting for change. You know, because since Hun Manet came to power, I think it's a little bit more than a year now. You know, he's arrested a lot of people. You know, I think not to his liking, but I think more of what Hun Sen had said because they oppose him of his policies. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to Hun Manet, you mentioned that you thought he was like the spoiled son type. But what can you tell us about him? I guess he obtained his bachelor's from West Point, his master's from NYU, and his PhD from the University of Bristol, all in economics, which to me seemed pretty impressive.
It looked very good on paper.
Yes.
But everything at all, you know, there's theory and practice. But if you can put into practice and it is successful, so theory doesn't mean anything.
Right.
So at this point in time, I don't think this person, in Cambodia right now, they call him baby prime minister or second prime minister, have not done anything in particular that is helping Cambodia. Specific example right now, tourism in Cambodia. It appears that nobody go to Cambodia anymore because of the bad publication, human trafficking. The country is not safe. The democratic process is not fair. You know, news like this spread around the world. You cannot contain it. When people know something like this, they're not gonna visit Cambodia. And he need to do something about it. Instead of do something, he continued to arrest dissent. You know, I think that's my thought. I think he have not done anything to help Cambodia.
Also, the degree from university is different. The reality is also different. His father has created a corrupt system that is so strong that he cannot do anything.
Corruption must be a seriously huge problem in Cambodia then.
Yes. Day of life, daily life.
I see.
Even greeting. Do you know that greeting in Cambodia?
No.
How much money you earn from your new position? When you see each other, hey, instead of how are you, did you make any money from your new position?
Wow.
This is a new culture.
Yeah.
Cultural lessons.
The old culture, I think, is similar to a lot of culture in the world. That hey, have you eaten? We have food, so come join us. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Specifically, people who have a position in the government.
Yeah.
On that note, I would like to thank you both, Vuthy and Polly, for coming in to join us in the studio today. More RFA Insider will be after this.
Yeah,
so thank you very much.
so
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
For having us.
You're listening to the RFA Insider podcast, made by two real-life staffers at Radio Free Asia.
If you'd like to send us feedback, there are many ways you can do this.
You can send us an email at insider@rfa.org.
You can comment on our webpage at rfa.org/English/insider. Just click on the episode you're listening to and write your comment below.
Or you can send us a tweet at RFA Insider or visit us in person.
No, don't visit us in person.
Right, don't visit us in person. But anyway, we really want to hear from you
So tune in every other Friday and we'll take you behind the scenes.
and tell you what the news really means here at RFA Insider.
Wow, okay, so quite a dense little history rundown of Cambodia in the last, 38, 40 years or
Yeah,
so?
wow. Okay, but let's get on with Podcast Free Asia. But today on Podcast Free Asia, I just wanted to make a distinction. Here on RFA Insider, we've done a lot of talking about the case of Wang Shujun, who is a Chinese-American democracy activist who was found guilty of spying for China. And in episode 6 of Insider, we hosted the investigative team to talk all about the case with the details that we knew at the time. And then the investigative team launched an entire podcast about him called Master of Deceit, which we've been plugging with every episode. So if you listen to episode 4, you can hear Amy's voice doing some voice acting. I, of course, am the voice of Wang Shujun himself.
Yes, and they finally released episode 5, which came out right after his conviction, and that focuses on the ethnic Chinese community reacting to the case, and then China watchers discussing how China operates in the U.S. But what was the distinction you wanted to make?
Okay, so in late August, our very own Jane Tang, who we had in episode 6 from the investigative team, she wrote a story about a different Chinese-American democracy activist, Yuanjun Tang, who was also arrested in New York, also on charges of spying for China. So a lot of people, they have been asking me independently, like, how can they get so many episodes out of this case if it just happened recently, right?
I see.
But this is a different guy that was that was just caught, because we were talking about Wang Shujun, not Yuanjun Tang. No word on whether there will be a Master of Deceit Part 2 to talk about him. But additionally, there's another spy for China in recent news who is a former CIA agent. His name is Alexander Yukching Ma, who got 10 years in prison on Wednesday. He pled guilty to spying for China, so he got 10 years. And again, we're talking about not him, but Wang Shujun. Then there's also Linda Sun. She is the New York governor's ex-aide, and she was recently arrested and accused of spying for China.
Wow.
So these are all people from New York who have been arrested for spying for China. So
Being suspected.
yes,
of spying for China.
yes. Except for in the case of Wang and Tang, who are both one pleaded guilty. So he's.
Oh, Ma.
I'm sorry, I'm confused now. What are you? What
you
are you?
said Wang and Tang, but it's
Oh.
Tang is still.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. So Ma pleaded guilty. Wang was convicted. The other two were just arrested. Okay. All right. But that goes to show you that I saw I was reading a Reuters article that says, like, New York, you've got a spy problem, or USA, you've got a spy problem, or something like that. And so I guess in the future administrations, they're going to probably try to look into spying in general.
Right, and I think Wang Shujun's conviction probably opens the door for more investigations,
Yes.
whether or not, there is like a burgeoning spy problem, or it's always been there and we're like finally delving into it.
Yes, and I wanted to say also we're probably going to see more cases like this because this is clear evidence that the Department of Justice is actually going after these kinds of cases. So I would expect that we'd find many, many more cases, not just from China even. Probably we'll see a lot of maybe Russian spies or spies from other countries that have geopolitical conflict with the United States. So.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the precedent that Wang's case sets for these like kind of investigations going forward.
All right. But on that note, let's go on with the rundown.
To start off the rundown, I've unofficially adopted the traditional medicine beat.
Nice.
Yes. So as a lead-in for our next story, I want to ask, have you ever consumed anything strange or questionable in the name of health?
Well, strange is a very relative word, right?
Strange to you, or maybe to our listeners.
Okay, well, I would say no, not really. I mean, I know you talked about your colloidal silver addiction before, right?
Yes.
Well, not addiction, but
addiction.
That it was given to you by your parents.
Yes.
Like I guess the weirdest thing, I would like occasionally chew on pine needles when I was a kid because it just tastes good, but I don't know if that has medicinal properties or anything.
Have you seen recipes you can make like pine needle soda and stuff, or out of pine cones?
Yeah,
right?
They even sell it in some Asian markets. There actually is a pine needle flavored drink.
Whoa.
And it's pretty good. So,
Okay.
But yeah, medicinally, no, I haven't tried anything terribly weird, I guess.
For me, do you know bird's nest?
I've heard of it.
Yes.
I didn't know that was medicinal.
Yes. It's like a delicacy and medicine at the same time. So for those who don't know, there are these like small birds known as swiftlets, and they use their spit to build their nests on like cave walls.
Yummy.
Yes, like a little cup on like the wall.
Is it just spit? Because don't birds also use other bodily fluids for adhesives?
I pray it's just spit.
Okay.
But the spit hardens into this like whitish, yellowish substance, and it's actually very high in like calcium, iron, potassium, and magnesium.
Oh, nice.
So in the realm of traditional Chinese medicine, it's good for your skin, but like as my mom would say, it makes you beautiful, which is why you should consume it. But
we should have your mom in here for an interview. We could ask her all about these beauty and longevity tips.
She'd tear us up like a Chinese mom. She'd be like, "You could work on your skin, son."
Well, I actually do need it, so it's pretty good.
So the product we're talking about today is caterpillar fungus, which grows in like a pretty gnarly way, I would say. So the fungus releases spores that infect these caterpillars who live underground. And then it's a parasite, the fungus. So it slowly eats the caterpillar's organs from the inside and eventually mummifies its body and then ruptures through the head to grow out into the air and release more spores.
Yes. So the investigative team, actually, they did an explainer video about this with Lobsang Galek. We'll have him tell us a little bit more about it.
Yasagombo literally translates from Tibetans, which means summer grass and winter bug. That's because in the winter it grows as a caterpillar, but in the summer it becomes grass. What you are actually seeing poking out of the ground is the spore that grows from the dead caterpillar fungus head after it's been infected by the fungus.
So you can see from the description, though, it sounds a little bit like, have you seen that show The Last of Us?
No, but I've heard the comparisons being drawn.
Yeah, so in The Last of Us, there's like some fungus that is turning people into zombies by growing out of their heads and into their brains, I guess, and then they have a hunger to try to eat other people and infect them with the spores. And so I guess that is kind of like this, but I don't think the caterpillars are becoming zombies exactly. They just die.
Yeah, but it's gnarly because if you see the fungus, it's like a little mushroom, but the caterpillar's body is still present, you know? It's just a shell of itself. So to consume it, you can prepare it as a tea, you can add it to medicinal soups, or you can straight up eat it, and apparently it's crunchy.
Apparently.
Allegedly, it's crunchy.
Oh, so you've never had it?
No.
Okay.
But for Tibetan and Chinese traditional medicine, it's good for the heart, liver, and lungs. And it also has the nickname Himalayan Viagra, which I will just leave there.
Interesting.
But
no comment.
The reason why it pops up in RFA reporting is that in rural Tibet, it's a very important income source. Lots of families support themselves by like climbing up the mountain and like harvesting these caterpillar fungi. But now they're struggling with over-harvesting, climate change, and artificial products flooding the market.
Artificial products?
Yes.
How can it be artificial? Like they just get a different kind of fungus? Or do they implant the caterpillars with a different kind of fungus? And
well, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves,
Okay.
but they have tried farming by implanting the fungi onto cultivated caterpillars, and nobody has been successful so far.
PETA would not be pleased.
No.
No, they would.
But so far, they've only grown this fungus on grains or liquids.
Okay.
So no success zombifying the caterpillars.
Oh.
But they're harvested mostly in the Himalaya mountains and
Okay.
the Tibetan plateau from May to July when the snow melts.
All right.
But with global warming, the winters are becoming shorter, which reduces the time for the fungus to grow.
Okay, and I imagine then that these fungi get lots of money, and that's why
Yes.
it's a big problem now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think at one point it was like worth its weight in gold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But now there's like more fakes flooding the market as well as like farmed caterpillar fungi. So
Okay.
that's kind of like,
Farmed caterpillar fungi that take out the caterpillar.
yes,
Okay.
without the caterpillar part.
All right.
All of that has undercut the price of the fungi and made buyers more suspicious of buying, right? They're
Yeah.
like, is this real? Is this fake? And, you know, same for other products like bird's nest. You're like, oh, is this real bird's nest or
Right.
not? But I think that's all pretty threatening to the people whose livelihoods depend on this like strange little mushroom.
Yeah. I'm interested to try it, though.
Should we do that on air as a bonus episode?
Maybe we should. That would be fun. I hear rumors that people on the 5th floor actually have jars of this fungus. That
I am curious what it must taste like.
probably taste like caterpillars, I would imagine.
Maybe
and
like-
mushrooms.
Yeah, so like umami.
Yeah. Or you could like make a soup out of it and just have it for lunch, right?
Oh, we could make a soup and then take.
Potluck. There we go. Okay, we're having a potluck coming up soon, so that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's move right along. I'd like to ask you to introduce this next story, Amy. Have you ever digitally altered a video of yourself? You know, like using filters on your smartphone or used augmented reality?
I've not altered videos, but there's a Korean camera app named Snow.
Yes.
Yes. So they had one AI feature where you could like submit some of your photos and they generate like AI photos of yourself in like cover letter positions or like as a student or something,
Yeah,
high school
yeah.
yearbook style.
Yeah.
So I tried that.
It also has filters on that. I have that app. They can advance your age and make you look really old, or change your gender and say this is what you would look like as a woman. And you know the female version of Eugene is actually pretty hot. So
Wow. Was it Uncanny Valley at all? Because I think my resume, my like cover letter AI photos were a bit like there are hints of me, but
Oh, well, I don't know about Uncanny Valley, but it does take pieces and parts from other existing pictures and
Yeah,
like kind
yeah.
of puts them together. So yeah. Yeah. It was pretty wild, actually. But this story that comes out of Laos, where two young people, where they're going by their adopted Western-sounding screen names. That's Di James and James Famore. So Western-sounding, because, you know, never heard of anybody named Famore, but if there are Famores out there, sorry. They made these videos to show the sorry state of roads in their town. And they used what they are describing as artificial intelligence-generated video to drive the point home. So
Okay.
I'm going to post some photos of this on the website. But in the first one, if you look here, there's a photo of this really damaged road. And what they did is they just basically cleaned it up and put a repaired road there. And they did a pretty good job because some of the cars that were on the road, they left them there and still replaced the road and
wow.
kind
So
of cleaned
they
it up.
digitally paved it.
Yeah, basically they digitally paved it. But that's not really the huge problem. The next one was that they made another video of them fishing out of the potholes with crocodiles wallowing around.
So
In
the
it.
potholes were that bad.
Yes. And so, you know, this is pretty funny. It's kind of like a running joke here in DC that, you know, none of the fountains at the park ever work when you're trying to get some water, or if a street sign breaks. It often takes like several months after you report it before someone comes to fix it. So it would be kind of neat if people were to like make a video where someone's running in the park and they've been going to get some water and they like want to turn the fountain on and suddenly like a huge blast of water shoots them in the face. That'd be hilarious. You know, then people would put that on social media and have a little chuckle and they'd go on with their day. But that's not what happened in this case. What happened here is instead that they were both arrested for violating Article 117 of the Lao Criminal Code, which is intended to prevent defamation of the state.
Were they defaming it by repaving the road and bettering?
They were drawing attention
The
to the
streets?
fact that the roads, they had potholes. And I guess that suggests that the government is not doing its job to keep things in working order.
Interesting. So it would be fine if they just posted a original photo of the pothole road.
Maybe not. I don't know. The exact wording of the law makes it illegal to, quote unquote, campaign against the Lao PDR by twisting the policy of the ruling Communist Party and government, releasing destructive news and causing disorder, speaking, writing, printing, posting photos and videos and texts via electronics means otherwise. And violators will be jailed from 1 year to 5 years and fined from 5 million to 20 million kip, which is about between 225 and 900 US dollars.
It's quite a lot.
It is. It's excessive. Now, of the two of them, Ty James was released first, but the second one, James Famore, he had to make a public apology video. So I'm going to play part of that video.
สบายดีเนาะข้าพเจ้าชื่อดีเจียมฝาหม้อ
But what he says in it basically is, I'm sorry that I did this. I admit my mistake. I took photos of this damaged road with the potholes and I edited these by my own volition and added crocodiles and fish. And I have no intention to slander any parts of the government, but it has already happened and I admit all my mistakes. And I would like to thank all the officials that involved in my education and training.
ป่าอย่างไปใส่ซึ่งว่าข้าพเจ้าเอง
And I'm just like, that's seriously an overreaction. I mean, can't you just take a joke?
Yeah. And I don't know, he was like a young guy, right?
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I wonder like what they did or said to him to make him say that. I'm sure he like thought it was over the top as well.
We can't confirm it either way, but I'm sure they were like, hey, like you're going to be in big trouble unless you make this apology video. So here's the things we want you to say and just say it and then you can go home. So the reaction from the observers was that the police were excessive and they also thought that the two, Ty James and James Famore, were actually providing a public service by drawing attention to the bad roads in their part of the country. So one person that RFA talked to said the authorities should be looking for a solution to the problem, not for a way to punish these two. And it's not right to arrest or detain or even fine them.
Yeah, ironically, by arresting them, you've drawn more attention to their photos.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The roads.
And more attention to the problem that you're not solving. So it's kind of backfire, I suppose. And people will look at that video and know that he was likely coerced into saying all those things on camera. So,
True, yeah.
but let's end this conversation here. And with that comes the end of this episode of RFA Insider.
For Eugene Huang, I'm Amy Lee, and we'll see you next time.
See you later, alligator. You like what I did there?
Yeah.
Like what you heard today? It would really mean a lot to us if you would like, subscribe, or follow this podcast. You can also share it on social media or even text messages. Feeling frisky? Give us a rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or elsewhere. Goodbye for now, and we'll see you here for the next episode of RFA Insider. Sure? Yeah. All right.
Podcast Free Asia.
Podcast Free Asia.
Podcast. Oh, that's okay. Outtakes.